Hello and welcome to the NT Recap. We have so much to cover this week, guys. I actually don't know where to begin, but let's get into it. Again, we're talking about whether the Northern Territory can have an AFL team. Concept drawings were released. Interesting space. We're also talking about whether Territorians are being kept in the dark on fracking. And we're lastly talking about the practical realities of what not having enough workers in the NT is doing for businesses. It's a lot to cover this week and so much has happened, but let's get into it. I am Sophia Emerson-Bain. I have with me Thomas Mayer and Amy Hetherington. Guys, we're also talking with Matt and Damo, who have gone to the most notorious river crossing in the NT. Any guesses?
Oh, it's got to be CAHILL'S, right? Yeah?
It's a scary place.
It's a scary place. I've done it. I survived it. I'm just as tough as those guys.
You swam across it?
Yeah, well, no. The car made it.
Well, let's see what they get up to. And our guest this week is Ben Graetz, amazing guy. If you don't know about him, you need to stick around to check him out. He's talking about GARRMALANG Festival, as we all know, is coming up. So, guys, AFL in the NT, I feel like we're creeping forward slowly and slowly. This last week, concept designs were released for two proposed stadium designs. They would be on the corner of Garramala Boulevard and McMinn Street. It would be a $300 million oval stadium proposed by AFL NT. Despite these concept drawings coming out, the Northern Territory government nor Darwin City Council have committed anything to it. It's modelled off of the Townsville Stadium.
One, yeah, it's a beautiful design. Like if you look at the designs that have come out, they're fantastic. Be lots of great benefits for activating the CBD and getting foot traffic there, but it is still just in that concept stage. So often in Darwin, we get to concept stage of things, everyone gets excited, and then everyone's like, where is the money going to come from?
Yeah.
Or who's going to invest? And we're not at that stage
Yeah,
yet.
it takes a very long time to get anywhere, but we've got to dream big, I think. You know,
Yeah.
it'll be good for the city to have all the business there and a flash ground like that.
But the reality though, I mean, there's only one AFL game here a year, one NRL game here a year. There's no anchor tenant. They really need private investors, which is what I think they're saying. So you really kind of need like a Clive Palmer to the Israel Folau type of situation.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's one of those things, it's the chicken or the egg, isn't it? Like, so a lot of the teams and the competitions aren't going to look to Darwin because we don't necessarily have the facility to do what they want to do. Yeah. And people say, you know, Marara exists. Why don't we just update the Marara grounds? Like, I think there's a lot that can be said about moving things closer to our CBD and activating that space so that people finish watching something. Thousands of people finish watching the sport. They walk on through the CBD, they spend in our local cafes, our local restaurants. Yeah. That kind of thing is going to really stimulate Darwin, which is, you know, when people complain about the mall, these kind of activities might actually help a little bit of that life.
Anyway, it's interesting. One project, though, that is definitely happening, because the AFL one, we don't know what's happening. One project definitely is happening, is that the Lingiari Art Award is happening, and its theme this year is about Aboriginals' right to land as well as water rights, because Aboriginal people have been given some of their land back, but not their water. And what I think is interesting about that theme this year is that it's quite fortuitous to what's been happening with the Have Your Say website not providing notification when a fracking proposal has come forward. And obviously people who thought that the Have Your Say website would provide them with notice when a fracking proposal came forward, it didn't happen.
Yeah, I think that's terrible, you know, and I think that Territorians are being kept in the dark about this. You know, there's quite a lot of activism against it. You know, Aboriginal traditional owners, you know, not just in the Northern Territory, but in the New South Wales as well, and Western Australia. And you know, it's not even economically viable as far as I understand. You know that that this, you know, when we need renewables nowadays, we know that the world's in crisis, climate crisis.
Yeah, and Australia's being looked at as one of the lowest in terms of their innovation and using, like the beautiful sun, the beautiful wind, the beautiful water that we do have here, like doing things in a way that's a bit more sustainable. I think the thing that really annoys me about this story is that it's about public consultation.
100%.
And that public consultation hasn't really happened. And we've seen what happened with Dan Murphy's. With the lack of public consultation, things aren't going to happen, We're at a stage now where people, if you're not including the communities, if you're not including the people that are on the ground, how are you expecting your project to get up and to get the support? It's just not
so
done.
dodgy,
And this is
isn't
a big project, because my understanding is that Empire Energy proposal, it's going to be the largest fracking proposal. It's 7 wells in Borroloola. It is, which is obviously utilising the Beetaloo Basin. It will clear 150 hectares of land for infrastructure, namely roads and well pads and things like that. And I guess if people thought that they would be able to have a say, whether you're for or against it, have a say, and you don't get those notifications that this project is up and running, I think it's not a great PR situation.
I think people should have a say. There's been another scientific report only 6 months ago that shows that the connectivity of all of these waterways, underground, is much, they're much more connected than they thought when they were going through the inquiry. And that means that if something goes wrong, then it's going to spread through this, the whole, all the way to the daily, and everything's affected. So
the most important thing is that people are able to have an opinion on this, which, Eva Lawler's office, the Minister for Environment, said that it's possibly not automatic notification. So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens in the future, because a lot more of these projects are going to be uploaded for people to have an opinion about, sadly, or you might be for that. Anyway, so another thing that's happening though in the territory is the shortage of workers. So this past week we saw that the Darwin Turf Club was having its gala ball. 250 people were on the wait list for this because
sold
it's
out
sold
in record
out.
time.
Yeah.
And all the accommodation in town's full for that weekend. It's massive for Darwin. It's a massive event. It's huge. And it's they've changed the location because it's expanded.
Exactly.
So they're going to Little Mindle, which is great that that's available for them. But I guess that big problem that's coming up now is
they had to put caps on numbers because they just can't. We just don't have enough workers. So it's a problem.
I think it's a failure in policy as far as training people, and investment into training, youth and Indigenous people, and then and also we should think there hasn't been a wage rise in this country, as in wages are stagnant.
Do you think that's partly the reason why people won't do these types of work?
I think people need to be attracted to come here and work, and they need to find accommodation as well, so it's all linked up.
It's a big issue.
And there's a whole bunch of gaps in the market in terms of training for people, right? So hospitality is one of these industries that's really struggling at the moment to fill these spaces, but they want people at a certain level of training. So, I'm one of those people that think about things in terms of what's the opportunity here. There is a great opportunity in the territory to offer really specialised training for people that just need a bit of upskilling to come into these positions for these dry season booms, so that we can actually sustain it instead of having to either fly people up or not being able to offer a service that's at the quality that it should be, which is what I'm worried about this dry season. We're gonna exhaust everything. We're gonna burn ourselves out. Our hospitality staff are already burning out because they're working crazy hours. Let's start looking after people.
And it doesn't help when if you work 2 jobs, I think you get taxed more on your second income. Those types of things are other things I think people could consider, politicians could consider. Lots to consider. Immigration is another one to consider, and getting people from overseas. Anyway, list goes on. But let's talk to Matt and Wildman at Cahill's Crossing and see what they got up to.
So over the past few weeks, you've seen Matthew and I go to some amazing locations like Gunpoint and Corroboree Billabong. Today, we're at CAHILL'S Crossing, where one of the most infamous crocodile attacks in the entire Northern Territory occurred. In 1987, not 2 metres from where I'm standing, young Kerry McLaughlin, 40 years old, fishing with his mates, was decapitated by a crocodile in this exact spot. He was there flicking a line, crocodile launched out of the water and literally popped his head off in front of his mates. Horrific crocodile attack, but infamous nonetheless. But it's important when you're in the top end to be croc-wise, or you'll get chopped.
So Damo and myself have been here for about 5 hours waiting for the action to start, but unfortunately today has not been our day. However, when the conditions are right, this is what you can capture.
Crocodiles are semi-aquatic ambush predators laying in wait at the water's edge, waiting for that perfect moment to strike. And when they do so with extreme power, speed, and accuracy. So it is very important to stay back from the water's edge. I'm talking 5, 6, even 10 metres back from the water's edge. 28 kilometres an hour from a crocodile, standing start, bang, launching out, trying to smash you and take you into the drink for dinner. So if you are 10 metres away, you've got time to shit and run. 2 movements simultaneously. If you are any closer while you're shitting, you're also drowning, the crocodile will eat you. Bad day.
Guys, I did not know that story.
Didn't you?
No, about the decapitated guy. That's
Well, even for me, when I first got there, Damo actually described that story, and I said, "There's no way that you can't put that in because the way that he told it was just so good, so good."
It's pretty intense, and it gives you an indication of how good crocodiles are at what they do.
Yeah, and we should be, respectful and mindful that.
Well, I mean,
10 metres
CAHILL'S.
back from the water's edge.
Yeah, never be complacent. Always know
Yeah, it
that
didn't look
crocs
like you were
are
5 to 6 metres away from the edge, though, Damo.
What's that, sorry?
It didn't look like you were 5 to 6 metres away from the water's edge.
No, but I have very quick feet, mate.
Because that's the thing, CAHILL'S is one of those places where people actually do get really close to the crocodiles. Did you have any sort of defence mechanisms? I know a couple of years ago a lady threw her thong at one, and that seemed pretty effective.
That wasn't a defence mechanism, that was an offence mechanism. Yeah. She was giving it a red hot Aussie go. But as far as crocodile safety goes, as far as what I do, it's do what I say, not what I do. I talk a lot about crocodile safety and how to be croc-wise. I'm a strong advocate for not getting eaten by a crocodile because at the end of the day, if you make a mistake as a human being, the crocodile is the one who's going to lose out. It doesn't matter if it bites you on the foot and you get away, super lucky, or if it gets you and actually you end up deceased, the crocodile is going to be killed regardless. And oftentimes, numerous crocodiles are killed because of that.
Yeah, well, I definitely think lots of people are an advocate for not dying by crocodile death.
I think everyone should be an advocate for that.
Yeah, but thanks so much for, I guess, reminding us about crocodile safety and also that you could go to CAHILL'S Crossing and not see any crocodiles. But you should still be vigilant.
It's not the right time of year at the moment, but the important message from this is to not be complacent. Understand that the whole top end of Australia is where crocodiles live, and if you let your guard down, they'll take advantage of that. That's what they're made to do.
Just remember, what you can't see, they're still there.
Yeah. No swimming, Thomas.
Yeah, like I used to when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It's a bit different nowadays.
Exactly. Well, anyway, we will now. Amy, what's going on with
Territorians, what is going on at the moment? Everything. There's no sleep until September, as far as I'm concerned. There's something for everybody, whether you're in Alice Springs, Darwin, Katherine, everywhere in between. One thing I'm really excited that's on at the moment is the Shitbox Rally.
Oh,
I got to say that on camera, so that's really exciting for me. But basically what happens is it's cars that are only worth like $1,000. They fix them up and they drive them from Alice Springs to the Gold Coast.
And it's to raise money for charity.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
So that's in Alice Springs at the moment. It's it's a great initiative, not just for the charity, but also for the community and the camaraderie. I don't know if you've ever fixed up a car and tried to drive it, but that's what we used to do that as a family when we were kids, is fix up the car and go driving. It's fun and dangerous, and you never know what's going to happen, which is my kind of event. And also, Secrets of the Gap is on. So you can actually go and find out more about Simpsons Gap, which is such a beautiful part of our country. So people in Alice Springs get along to that.
Yeah. I think that's really special. They have multiple days where you can do it. So I think I would definitely take up the opportunity to get a ranger to show you around Simpsons Gap and what you can and can't do.
I'm a believer in doing things that are a little bit different, and while we can't travel internationally at the moment, let's understand more about the place that we call home.
Exactly.
And if you can get a local's perspective on that, like an Indigenous ranger's perspective, even better, right?
100%.
Darwin, we are happening at the moment.
So much.
This weekend I looked at my calendar and I was like, all right, cool, good for you, Amy.
Yeah.
You're going to have a good time. Nepalese festival is happening down at the Darwin waterfront. So if you like your dal bhat, which is my favourite Nepalese cuisine, get amongst that.
Mine is momos.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't know, but I love Nepalese food. I can't name any of them.
Oh, it's good.
Fine, we're going to have a great time at the Nepalese festival. Indie beer festival's on as well for anyone that is after their beer.
Okay.
All of the brewers and the independent brewers in the territory are getting together and sharing some beer. So check that out. I'll be there.
We know.
Yes. Gold Coast Suns and Hawthorn are in town. And I found out where they're staying. So I might be walking past their accommodation a couple of times to catch them in the pool.
I feel like a few people will DM you now.
Yeah, let's do that. If you need those details, friends, get in contact. Also, if you have kids, something for them. The Hungry Hungry Caterpillar shows at the Darwin Entertainment Centre. It's adorable. One of my friends is part of the Caterpillar. It looks like the greatest thing of all time. And I loved that book. It's good for kids.
Yeah.
We're also National Reconciliation Week kicks off this week. Lots of different events happening around the place. I think the most important thing about this, when I think about it, is that the slogan this year is more than a word. So don't just tick a KPI for reconciliation, actually learn, invest, engage.
Yeah, well, it's about action, isn't it?
Yep.
You know, and the anniversary of the Uluru Statement is on the 26th of May, so very soon, the eve of Reconciliation Week. So it's a good time to write to a politician, get in their ear and say, take us to a referendum so we can enshrine a First Nations voice.
Yep. And speaking of First Nations voices, comedian Kevin Kopanyari is doing his show in Darwin and in Katherine. It's called Kevin Goes Talk About. He's great.
He's so good.
He's so funny. He was the MC for the Melbourne International Comedy Festival Roadshow when they were here. I've had the joy of touring with Kevin a couple of times, and he's just the happiest fella in the world.
Yeah.
Go see his show.
And K-Town?
And K-Town, yeah, he's doing the God and Yum Centre as well while he's down there. So that's coming up this week. So get your tickets. Don't mess about, Katherine. Also, if you're in Katherine, grand opening of the Katherine Community Indoor Sports Centre.
Yeah.
Finally. I'm so excited for Katherine. It is too hot to do sports outdoors there. Indoor centre for sport, keeping people engaged. I think it's awesome.
So good.
And if you're in the Jabiru area, the NT Travelling Film Festival is screening High Ground at the Mercure Hotel.
It's a great film.
It's an incredible film, and you get to see it in a place where a lot of the filming was actually done. I can't think of anything better than watching territory films under the stars in beautiful territory locations.
Yeah.
Especially that film,
Yeah. It's a heavy, beautiful must watch for everybody.
And then there's obviously the Kumbuji markets, which is great.
Yeah. Everything.
So many things. Oh my gosh. And I feel like we only just touched the surface on that. But one thing that's happening is the GARRMALANG Festival. It's happening this week coming.
Yep.
And we have the artistic director, Ben Graetz, on the line with us. Hey, Ben.
Hi, how are you?
Good, so great to have you on the show. I am so excited. The festival is this weekend. You are a territory legend, in my opinion. You do it all. You are an MC, you're a director, you're an artistic director. You occasionally have an alter ego who I love and I think everyone loves. Sometimes I feel like we would see her sometimes more than Ben. But tell us, look, for me, the thing that really I'm in awe of is that there wouldn't be too many festivals led by Indigenous people for Indigenous people.
Yeah, self-determined processes and festivals are really important to, me and my people. And I'm really proud that GARRMALANG is really the only one in the top end of Australia, in the Darwin region, that is self-determined, you know, led by mob, for mob, by mob. So, you know, I'm just really excited and passionate about it. You know, it's been a part of my life since 2014.
And you started it, which is also a testament to how great of a person. I mean, you were born and raised here, you know, and you're doing such great things. And then starting this festival, it's a legacy that will continue.
Yeah, well, it really came out of when I was working for the Darwin Entertainment Centre as a emerging creative producer back then. And really it was about creating opportunities for mob and creating a festival where we could all come together, gather, we could celebrate, we could, you know, show off our different art forms. But most importantly, it was a festival by us for our mob. And I think that's really important because it becomes, you know, it becomes our narrative. It becomes, you know, and this festival, you know, we've got the graphic designer we used as a Larrakia person, the artist, the photographers, the videographer. So we try and get as many First Nations mob working on it as we can, because that also then, you know, builds our capacity, builds our sector, and it builds, you know, what we're trying to do with the creative sector here in the NT.
Ben, you're an incredible person. I feel like Sophia's giving you the kind of rap that's just like Ben for mayor in a couple of years' time. It's literally what I just heard. A lot of people have been saying that. So give me 15 more years. 15 more years, I'm going to send you a reminder on Facebook and be like, it's time to do this. But like you said, we were saying, Ben, you started this amazing festival and co-producing it at the moment and doing all these wonderful things. I wonder if there's been some highlights over that time of creating this incredible celebration of what's going on in Darwin.
I think, yeah, there's so many beautiful moments and so many incredible people being a part of it. I think when we had Juki Mala at our first one was a really big highlight for me. But also just having our smaller events, our musicians being a part of it. I think the welcome is always really beautiful because it brings together all the members from our community, and we have a real great mixture of contemporary, traditional. But I think, you know, just working with all of the artists over the years and showcasing my mob has really been the highlight, because I'm so passionate about our people and ensuring that, you know, our stories are front and center and what we do and say comes from us, and that, you know, that we're in control, as I said before, of our narrative.
Yeah.
So Ben, you know, I think people should go and see all of those things. But if someone could only see one thing, what do you think would be the thing you want them to see the most?
Oh, that's
Electric Fields.
Yeah. Of course, Electric Fields. I mean, you know, they're one of my favourites. But you know, we do have a whole range of free events as well. And one of the things that I am really looking forward to is our Elders Morning Tea, and that's happening on the Saturday morning. And that's a free event. You just need to register, and that's going to just be about honouring our elders and the senior people in our community who have really paved the way so I'm able to do what I do. And, you know, I think it's always really great to acknowledge our elders for fighting for the rights that I have now. And so this is about coming together, you know, having a cup of tea, having a scone, and just really listening to Ali Mills and Mandy Garling, who will be playing some beautiful music.
That's so good. And Ben, you're so sweet and so obviously passionate about this. Wonder, will Miscellaneous be appearing at all during the festival?
Definitely not. She's she's high maintenance.
Oh, we know. We really know.
Well, then is Miss Bougainvillea coming then?
She's a little less maintenance, but no, it's just going to be Ben this one,
okay.
Just so I can manage everyone and make sure everyone else is having a good time.
That's okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Everyone, you can get tickets to GARRMALANG at Darwin Entertainment Centre, and we will see you, Ben, there.
Thank you so much. See you there.
Thank you.
See you, mate.
Oh, that was such a great chat.
I love Ben.
Who doesn't love Ben? I mean,
Yeah.
there's 3 parts of Ben to love, really.
Flawless human being.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. We will be back next week. It was a big show, lots to cover this week. Thanks for having us. See you.
All right.